When and how often should you consume protein per day? You probably heard the age-old advice that you should eat 6 meals throughout the day to constantly supply your muscle with enough protein so it doesn't break down. The idea is that while our body can store dietary fat in the fat cells and carbohydrates in the liver and muscles, it cannot store excess protein. That's why for many years, bodybuilders religiously planned their meals and always had a protein shake or a protein bar with them to avoid going into a catabolic state where your body breaks down muscle tissue for energy. If this seems extremely stressful to you, then I have good news. Today we know that even though the body cannot store excess protein, it's a lot smarter than many people think, and you don't have to eat 6 meals to grow and maintain muscle tissue, nor do you have to time them exactly 3 hours apart. Let me explain. When it comes to protein timing, our one and only goal is to create a continual supply of amino acids from digested protein into the bloodstream to avoid muscle breakdown. The one important variable we have to look at here is protein digestion. Protein digestion describes how fast or how slow the consumed food is actually broken down into amino acids and then absorbed by the GI tract. How long this process takes depends on 3 main factors: protein type, meal size, and fat and fiber content. Let's look at each in more detail. First, protein type. The fastest digesting protein is whey, which can be digested in less than an hour. After that come whole food proteins, so lean meat, poultry, and fish. They take several hours to be broken down and digested and provide the blood with amino acids the entire time. The slowest digesting protein type are dairy products. That's because of their casein content, which clumps together in the stomach and can take up to 7 hours to be digested and processed by the body. Okay, the next factor is meal size. Because our GI tract requires a certain time to break down and absorb food, you can further slow down the process by simply adding more food to your meals. This then will also reduce the digestion time of protein. For example, a normal protein shake will usually be digested within an hour. But if you add some oatmeal to that shake, the same protein will be digested a lot slower. Also, just eating more of the same food, so a larger piece of meat, for example, will result in slower digestion. What this means is that eating larger meals will not lead you to lose some of the protein. Instead, the body's natural reaction to this is to slow down digestion so it has more time to take in the protein. And the third factor is fat and fiber content. Just like larger meal sizes, fat and fiber slow down digestion. That's why certain foods, for example fatty meats, make you so full. The combination of fat and protein in a steak forces your body to slow down digestion. So that means if you want to feel full for longer, it makes sense to add fiber and or healthy fats to your meals and also eat them in combination with other foods. If you look at most of the traditional meals throughout the world, you can see that we intuitively do this. We don't just eat meat or chicken. Instead, we add vegetables, rice, and maybe even some peanut butter. Now, with this in mind, what's the bottom line on meal timing and meal frequency when it comes to protein? First, your goal is to maintain a continual supply of amino acids to the muscle. Second, there are different ways of achieving this. You can eat 6 smaller meals and simply follow the old bodybuilder advice. But you can also just eat 3 meals as long as they are large enough to cover both your daily protein needs and are slowly digested. Now, I probably wouldn't go lower than 2 meals per day, but I doubt that you would want that anyway. And what about protein timing when it comes to your workouts? The evidence on this is inconclusive. Some studies show a positive effect of post-workout protein on muscle growth, while others find no such relation. Overall, it seems that as long as you meet your daily calorie and macronutrient requirements through normal food, you don't have to drink a protein shake right before or right after your workout like so many people think. What you want to do instead is get your pre- and post-workout meals right, which is something we will cover in later lessons. Lastly, what about before you sleep? I personally eat a fairly large meal for dinner and drink half a whey protein shake before I go to bed. But if you eat very little or no protein for dinner, then a slow digesting protein like casein might be a good choice before you go to sleep, simply because it's digested so slowly.